What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Welcome back to the pit. I guess this is the pit today. Delta Phi. I'm just still in Delta Phi town every time I see your face, Rob. But we got Rob Levy on today to share with us all the good stuff, what's coming out of his corner of the earth, and more importantly, your everlasting, calm, cool, collected, bullish energy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. It's the first sunny day in Chicago, like in a while. It's been super just gray and rainy.
Yeah.
So it's bright. And things are looking bright.
Yeah. Actually, we got a nice bounce today after a very dark post FOMC candle or two. You see, I've got a circle here for where I'm interested in looking at pricing in. But yeah. What do you like? I don't know much about the macro stuff, admittedly. I know what I learned from people. By the way, anyone who is excited to see or hear from Alex Kruger, Kruger Macro on Twitter, he was slated to come in today, but was on a 25-hour work grind or something. He messaged me today. He's like, dude, I'm so sorry I can't make it. I'm going to be so cooked. So he's coming back next week or the week after. We're going to reschedule for next Thursday or the one after. And yeah, so it's Rob and I. So you pay a little more attention to the macro stuff than I do, or at least you know a little more about it. Like, what would you make of this FOMC yesterday? Rates unchanged.
You know, I'll be honest with you. I do. Usually I am, a macro and I'm paying attention to it. Especially when I'm doing more trading. I've not been doing much trading at all, and I've been so heads down and working on product, on hero network stuff, on gaming stuff that I'm super dialed in on. But I will say that there's been like almost a weird, like eerie melt up in like U.S. equities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're like here, I'm so US equity kind of driven when we think about like just overall volatility and what the market is doing. It's not all about just US equities. Like we just saw the Chinese market has been getting absolutely clobbered, and then that bounced off the lows, but that thing was getting smoked. Look at you, Ample USDT, huh?
Did you see Ample? No.
I haven't seen that ticker in a while. Holy shit.
Oh, we're going to be talking a lot about it in the next year or two. Believe that.
Holy shit.
Ample is not dead.
I don't dead, not that. It just was like,
I know.
When for a second you're like, what year am I in again? It's like, wait a
second. Trust me, it took me a month to come around, but some very smart people I know are very excited about the market cap growth potential for Ample.
That's safe.
I don't even want to talk about it because I just
get into it
and then buy. I don't actually know how to regurgitate the alpha, but we will dig into it at some point this year. Probably.
It's all good. That is.
But it is. I am charting Ample.
So
SPX is in price discovery.
Well, yeah, dude, it's fucking new highs. It's rallying like crazy. If you would just like take the temperature of life here and in the US and like the narrative and the news and all this stuff, it doesn't feel that rosy to me. I'm stuck in the monkey house. I'm like in the crypto world. I'm not watching the news. I'm not looking at any of that stuff. Like I'm just in the weeds here with Hero and all this stuff and just crypto in general and the chain. But you wouldn't feel like it's so making new highs and rosy. But it's a funny thing. Like last night I saw I saw a buddy of mine who like he runs a pretty big options market making firm. And I just asked him like, because the S&P sold off bigly after the FOMC and after Powell's little speech. Yeah. And I was like, how was it? Like, how was the trade? And he's like, dude, we got a really good pop in vol, meaning like, on these melt ups when indexes are just stair stepping up, like volatility just gets smoked. And there's nothing like for options market makers and trade. It's like, there's just nothing there. It just keeps going down and there's no interest in people buying puts or anything like that.
Is this the VIX you're kind of referring to, or you could see that reflected in the VIX?
Yeah, it is, because the VIX just tracks like the implied volatility of the options, on the S&P. And he's just like, at the end of the day, there was some real good order flow. I think like he said, like maybe it was Carl Icahn, someone came in and bought like 5,000 end of the month puts and just it got he was like, it's like for the first time in a while, it was actually a good afternoon of trade. And that's the thing. It's like I was a market maker. I was an options market maker. And there's nothing worse than being like an options market maker who's making two-sided markets than it being like slow and predictable and boring. And it's like literally day after day after day. It's no fun. And it's also hard to make money when there's no like action, when people don't have opinions. And so the worst case scenario for like equities when it comes to like market makers is just like this grind higher. It's just it's bad. Like when you're going down,
they must not be very happy people. I mean, look at this shit. It's been a grind higher for 20 to 100 years.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, it really depends on, there's been a lot of consolidation in that industry and so there's been definitely some happy campers and some not, but he was actually like, there was a little life in the market and it's been fucking dead. So that was good. But then today, like, bounce right back. The shit's getting smoked. Like whoever bought the puts at the end of the, it's like the stuff's just getting hit again today when the market just shrugs it off. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, what do you think? I look at this chart zoomed out, and obviously money supply, inflation, all these things could probably play in a big factor to this, but like we're just in price discovery. I mean, we just blasted, we closed December. We closed December with like a new monthly high, and then January was good. We're opening up Feb. Like technically speaking, from this point of view, I don't know how we don't just blast higher. And then if you think about parabolas, how they like to accelerate, I don't know. It looks really good to me.
Yeah,
it is. The way you described how it doesn't feel too rosy makes me feel like everyone's offside, which equals buy pressure, like FOMO panic buy pressure when it really takes off.
Yeah,
because it's like this. I mean, no doubt this got a lot of people offside.
Yeah. It's definitely remarkable, but it's also like, if you think about how the construction of these indexes have evolved, and now it's like there's 7 or 8 individual stock names in these things that are like driving everything. So there's been like some dispersion where like the bottom 80% of stocks have gotten smoked or are doing nothing, but then it's like
NVIDIA is pushing it up.
Exactly.
Yeah. Look at NVIDIA. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think about like what's driving the index prices. And there's some people like, obviously if you're just in the index, you're good. But if you're holding like some shitcoin stocks that, are not faring as well, maybe you're not really feeling as good as if you were in these indexes. But that's a whole nother story. The bottom line for me, like, and I know that I feel I would want to be spreading this thing. I kind of feel since the ETF, right, Bitcoin's down, what's it down from the highs? 12 to 15% maybe. Like it was worse. It's now 43, 43. And it's sniffed below 40 just to kind of take a little sniff and see what kind of stops were under there and what was going to go on and trap some bears.
12% off the highs now. Yeah.
Yeah. But I still kind of like, to me as a spreader, I used to trade a lot of future spreads and option spreads. Like as a spreader, I kind of am like feeling like I should get long crypto, Bitcoin, like, length and against getting short some of this equity index stuff. Like I put on like a future spread, but that's like, I'm not looking at this every day. I
You're
would
not in
kind
your
of be
heyday
like,
of trading necessarily, right? Like you're not in the driver's seat of, yeah.
No, but that's kind of my take, especially like, and I start feeling that, and then you have to like check yourself. This was like the sell the news after the ETF, right? And we're watching like Grayscale Bitcoin Trust get absolutely unlocked and just smoked, and we're watching like the FTX estate blast $1 billion worth of GBTC, and you're like, everyone else, you're feeling that negativity of, okay, so the spot ETFs listed and we're down 20%. Like, you crypto nerds are wrong again. It's like, you're feeling that kind of vibe. And so then I was like, man, I'd love to buy Bitcoin, sell SPX right here just as a spread, because I think it's obviously it had underperformed like by 25% in a matter of 2-3 days. And so that's where I look to kind of play mean reversion on those like pair moves like that. And, it would have been a decent trade. It's definitely converged a bit, but, so that's kind of my old mentality of looking for relative value, like short-term spreads like that. But, I'll be honest, I think that we don't even like, people aren't, I don't think they're looking into the numbers closely enough, but the amount of Bitcoin that's getting hoovered up by these ETFs, unsustainable for this supply situation. So if they go on their sales mission and Larry Fink and they got the marketing teams cranking and all these different ETFs are starting to advertise. You saw Google now, they're letting advertisements go for crypto and ETFs. If you start getting the marketing flywheel going and the Bitcoin ETF starts getting into that like, front page of the sales brochure for wealth management and for all this stuff, look out. I don't think we can properly quantify the scarcity of spot Bitcoin and the strong hands that a lot of these coins are sitting in right now. People who like literally wrote it up, wrote it down 85%, wrote it up again, wrote it down 80%, like who never even like thought about selling it. And I think,
and they make up like 67% of the holders right now, right? They've all like, that was the stat I heard in the last few months, that we moved back into like this long-term holder had reached almost 67 to 70% of the supply was just back into these hands. We're back to diamond hand territory as of last year, some point later in the year. So it gets really tough to see the bear case, any kind of sustained bear case. And that's what we talked about a bit last week, why after kind of ringing the alarm as we came into this with all the excitement I was seeing, I was just like, like let's de-risk through the event, because it's such an obvious de-risking moment for a trader. But then once we got down in here, and because I wasn't rushing in, we talked about this on Tuesday's solo stream. So if you guys watch that, I'm sorry, I'm going to rehash. But because I wasn't rushing in, because I had this much more midterm kind of March buy window thesis, I wasn't rushing in. But then by the time this Tuesday came, I woke up and like I went to bed Monday. I was like, okay, I'm coming off some more. Then I woke up Tuesday morning. I was like, oh my God, like this is just too much too soon. And like you say, this mean reversion kind of stuff where like, yeah, we could trade lower. But when Bitcoin falls off 21% in like 12 days after something like that, this ETF stuff, it was just too much too soon. So I stepped in and I'm basically just back to fully spot long. I'm actually a little longer than I was because I was like running out. I'm like, I'm not going to buy shit up here. And now I've just got these two zones that I've picked out. I mean, you can zoom in here and drill in and have some short relet zones. And, there's some trading to do in here. But generally speaking, I'm looking to make decisions up against this weekly resistance, possibly a little below. If I want to play the more like midterm chop, which I think is probably my base case, that we don't just explode higher here in the next month. But if we do, that'd be cool. And then if we get back down against, this breakout zone, like down in here, that'd be an interesting place to be thinking long. Interesting place to maybe be de-risking, because I like de-risking up here because it gives me the ability to have it's a very, really strong invalidation level. Like putting buy stops at 49K. So if I de-risk up against 47, 48, I can buy stop 49. I mean, if we go back above that, that's the ETF listing top. I don't think I could buy there, and I don't think I'm worried about anything. So that's kind of my plan right now, midterm. And having said that, I'm actually acting mostly through Solana. I find Solana much more interesting in general. I've got a little bit of Bitcoin, got some minor stocks, but I'm charting Bitcoin all the time because it's driving the bus in most cases. But I'm actually mostly excited for Solana's next leg, which I think will take us much higher.
I tend to agree with you here. I think, and I live through. We're building on Solana. We've been part of it. We're I'm really. I feel like I've got a good finger on the pulse of what's going on there and the vibe on the chain. And I'll tell you, I feel the same way about Solana. But what I don't want to do, I don't want to discount the power of what I believe could happen to Ethereum here. And
Ethereum
it might, I mean, listen, talk about something that's like literally it feels hated right now.
It's boring.
It's Ethereum. It's boring. It's the same shit people were saying about Bitcoin, though. Some of the most successful fund managers that we know were like, have been saying for a while, Bitcoin is fucking boring. It's done. It's finished. There's nothing there. Like, why own it? I mean, like those people, and this was like before even the ETF thing and why own Bitcoin and all that. But I feel the same about ETH and the power of like, it's going to go through this sales cycle, in my opinion, of like, you wait, if we get spot ETF for Ethereum in May, we're hearing that May is going to be that first pivotal, like, dude, think about the normies out there who they wouldn't even consider Bitcoin. And now they're getting pushed by all these wealth managers and all these programs like about this ETF and Bitcoin, this generational change. It's changing the world. And then you start talking about ETH being like the supercomputer network that's doing this. And it's getting all of the old ETH hype messaging. And now it's packaged to boomers and to normies who like wouldn't ever think about it. And now that's in a BlackRock ETF. To me, it just like, I think that Ethereum will end up benefiting from being the first altcoin that gets that institutional distribution funnel to open through like Wall Street ETF marketing machine. And that's kind of like, is that gonna provide, like, do I think ETH can keep up with Solana when it comes to like value accrual and like the flow? I don't know, but
no is the answer.
Yeah, just because, well, yeah.
Like, wait, I think everything you're saying is right in the sense that they are the next, ETF that's being buzzed about. I would challenge with this, and here's my issue. I'm pretty firmly in and this is not because of price action. I was in this camp for a little while, and it seems kind of like not that sharp to talk about now because it's kind of the buzz. But I'm in the camp of like, Ethereum is kind of my space. Like, it was designed to prove a concept, smart chains, smart contracts on chain. Like, it's just not the best at what it does. It's not even close. And there's just going to be more. I mean, there's 50 new L1s that are, pre-production already. So how will it ever keep up? And then, it's pivoting to like, no, we're a store of value now, EIP 1559, we're deflationary. And it's like, no. Now we're like the settlement layer and the L2s. I think best case scenario, Ethereum flourishes as a settlement layer and the L2s flourish. And it's just this network of networks. But like, that's horizontal dilution. And you see L2 chains start to take off, and then they've all got projects built on them. And, where's this ball of money? It's just going to flatten out. And we're going to see more of this terribly boring price action on Ethereum. Having said all that, what you're describing as you know, a new shiny object. You missed the Bitcoin ETF trade. Well, here's your Ethereum ETF. Like there's a flood of money that's just going to be looking for another taste.
Yeah.
But on that note, when does the Solana ETF come? I mean, it's already happened where it's like CNBC is like, here's the price of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. So like it's already kind of been the third one that's worked its way in to the paradigm. It seems inevitable.
I do agree. I agree with you. I mean, let's pull up the Sol ETH chart. I haven't looked at it in a while.
I haven't either.
The bottom line is just pure numbers wise, like, yeah, Solana can gain market share, market value on ETH. Like there is room. I could see this chart absolutely going parabolic again. Yeah.
Bananas.
Absolutely. Yeah, I could. I could, and maybe it will.
I could also see it just falling off through the ETF, the ETH ETF stuff, and then having it season later. Yeah.
The one thing that we know about like the crypto market especially is like when volatility comes, it like smacks you in the face and you're like, whoa, that was quick. Like that was quick. Like that move, whether up, down, whether it's relative, like that really just, smacked me in the face and I wasn't necessarily ready for it. And
that's ETH 3 weeks ago, like right here.
Yeah. And I mean, those
took back 15 weeks in 1 week.
That's a meaningful move. I mean, that's like, so you just never know. And you never know when you get, I still say, I do not think the liquidity in these markets is as deep and thick and big as a lot of people think it is. And I still think that real flows are going to move things a lot. And I do believe we're going to see some moves that remind us that market liquidity, and just market liquidity in general is like,
one rich person decided they like Bitcoin, price was up 27% today. Yeah, like it's just like there's not a lot of room for the giants to move.
It could. Yeah. It could. I mean, bottom line, we've got an election year here in the US. We've got absolute like dog shit candidates that, anyone under the age of probably 60 is bummed out that we've got these two guys to kind of choose between still. And like, we're yearning for some sort of change, but it's not going to happen. It's going to be like, Weekend at Bernie's 2 or 3. And it's
the thing that kills me the most, values, morals, policies aside, wherever you want to put yourself. Like, are we really talking about 2 70-year-olds again? USA, come on.
Yeah, but not even just like they're getting up there, and it's almost like the meme is just too good at this point for kind of both these guys. But I think we're going to
very memeable.
Listen, there's a lot of weird shit that happens in election years, and there's a lot of weird stuff like with markets that happen, and then maybe finally when that's over, then you see some shit go down. But like the U.S. debt situation, that is going to start building and building. I don't think it's going to be like the massive story for this election, but you better believe that over the next 4 years, it is going to become the story. And the story might not just be headlines, but it might be where there's actual like massive like international fund flows because of the debt story. And it's not just the US debt, right? I mean, like we don't know, like China's market just got smoked. We know that there's issues there. They're kind of, I think, macro issues in many places. And
have you been keeping up with Evergrande?
No, not lately.
Remember during the bear market, the Evergrande thing was like, wow, the whole world economy is going to collapse. These guys are so fucking big. And then on Sunday, this past week, we got news of, the Evergrande, it's going to be liquidated. Like everything's got to go. And didn't move the market. In fact, futures open green. So this is weird for me. I didn't look in too deep. Don't care too much. But yeah, you're right. China The headlines I see, you know, it's a big deal because I only see the surface ones because I don't dig into it. And China getting smoked, I think, captures it well.
Yeah, but
then markets went up.
Yeah.
So it's like they know they're going to print.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they've tipped the hat now, right? 2008, it was like, oh my God. But then everyone got burned because they're like, wait, you can just bail us out of this? Sweet. And so now when you hear about a potential need for a bailout, it's not even bearish anymore. It's like, yeah, buddy, here comes the money ride. It's kind of gross, but
yeah. And then you've got people who are like some smart people where I'm like, what do you think about the market? It's pretty like S&P all-time highs. Like, what are you thinking? And he's like, I mean, inflation adjusted, like, think about it. He's like, I don't think it's been that. He's like, it's less impressive to me. And he made sense. Like, you know, it's something you think about, but you don't. When you just see the, you know, you see the headlines and you're like all-time highs, but you don't always think like, well, you know, you're right. Like we had inflation of 10% last year. It's been 6%. It's like, I guess it's not as, you know, performant as it feels like it is when you're seeing all-time highs. But yeah, this is a good, you know, it's a good chart. What is this?
You like this one? Remember this one?
Yeah, I do.
Remember when we posted this on TradingView and it blew up? The macro bros. They were like, that's not inflation. We learned a lot, though. We learned a lot.
We did.
We
did. Well, it's a good chart, though. Gets the people going.
Dude, it was our biggest chart. I'm gonna find it while you speak to it. But what's interesting is what was fascinating to me about this chart is you had your 2008, you know, financial crisis. So you had your 2000, you know, NASDAQ bubble. So that popped. Then you had your 2008 financial crisis. Then we came up into the COVID thing, which was like a sweep of the high. And then like, you know, there was just this forever resistance. And then we had, you know, our 2021 bull market peak. And then we've been coming off again through 22. So like, if you look at the S&P, these are all new highs. But if you had adjusted for money supply, it was like this infinite resistance wall. And well, now we've actually busted through it. I never noticed that. I just came back today, but it's interesting.
It is interesting.
I don't know what that means, but it looks like more bullish.
What does it
looks like new leg, like mega leg, like everything bubble leg.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could. And that is like, you know, I've got to get back into the circles and start reading more stuff about people who are talking about, you know, the everything up market, and that's what precedes the nastiest of depressions and all that stuff. So see if they're chirping yet. But you know, how about gold? Let's take a look at gold. Like, that thing is that thing rallied.
It's an old
this
chart.
could, we you know, are we getting close? Is it getting close? Like,
it's bubbling up. Yeah, it's bubbling up. I mean, it's spending less time between tests of this level each time, and we've now just, you know, we had the Peter Schiff moment. Was this weekly? Like we had the Peter Schiff moment back in December. Remember, he was just like dunking on Bitcoin during this candle while I was up there, and this tweet just marked the Pico high.
Is this like a level where you lose this level and it's lights out? Like just
inverse,
start. Yeah, I mean, you start getting into this. You just, I mean, are we going to ride
big leg? Yeah, that's it. Well, okay, look, I say that's a big leg.
This looks like it wants to go higher, dude. This thing looks like it wants to. Holy shit!
It does, but it's like, I want to say like, oh, it's going to go so far and move so hard, but like it did this here, back here, and then it just like meh. Like it didn't go too far. So
look at this. That's pent up. That's pent up like aggression. It feels. I don't know. I mean,
well, it's like pre-hyperinflationary fiat collapse environment looking chart.
It's also geopolitical. Like it doesn't feel the safest out there right now. Like
no, here's what I'm excited about. I was talking about this the other day. Okay, first of all, back to the chat because our producer shared this in the chat. He says, I saw someone talking about how this is in the first halving that we will have, where the biggest asset managers in the world are incentivized to shill Bitcoin. And then I was thinking about it this way. They've been shilling gold for how long, right? Their investors are comfortable with gold. They love their gold. They've got their 60/40s and whatever else. The gold's a little piece of everybody's heart. And now these guys are going to come out, and I think the comps to gold are inescapable. And I think they're not stupid. I think they're going to know that that's their best way to compare. They're going to educate the world on this idea of digital scarcity, how it is more effective as a store of value mathematically than gold could ever be, and in every possible way. And that's such a strong story. We know that. That's why we're here. But that's a story that they are going to start telling. And with the halvening coming, with these flows, and like you said, the scarcity, like there's not a lot available. All this stuff that people were saying right through the event, through this. Look, we didn't fall too far. And I mean, I've completely stepped off of the I'm worried about all these lower levels through March. I just don't really care. I felt like not buying this kind of area was like trying to, wait for 12K and not buy 15K. Like it just seemed kind of dumb. It was like, we're just going higher. Yeah. But going back to what I was saying is it's like, I think the comps to gold are inescapable. And then you got to start thinking about market cap comps. Gold is 13 trillion.
Yep.
And we're not talking about total market cap of crypto going to 13 trillion. The comp being made would be Bitcoin market cap going to 13 trillion. What is 13 trillion divided by 21 million, Rob Levy? I honestly don't know. I did not.
I mean, it's probably it's like 450,000 probably Bitcoin, something like that. I mean, what are we at right? Or no, it's more, because what are we at right now? It's not even a trillion. It's 800. Is it 850 billion?
619,000.
Yeah,
like 21 million, and then that's assuming there's not 2 million already lost or otherwise forever stuck. Yeah. So 600K. Like the story gets real spicy when you start putting it next to gold, and that's exactly what this ETF does.
Yeah, dude. Pull up a Tesla. Tesla rallied like that. Wouldn't be anything for Bitcoin to 10x here. Tesla's 10x pretty quickly. Like other stuff has 10x quickly. 10xing is not. It's not crazy for this thing to do. And
Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin is.
Yeah. And so here's a funny thing, because within the realm of crypto, Bitcoin's the heavy, hard to move dinosaur, right? But in reality, and we talked about this in the show, like I was saying earlier in the year, like I think this $1 and $2 billion, like sub $10 billion L1s represents 100x potential. Because an L1 that does capture its full potential, like all these things we're speculating on, could be $1 trillion global network of finance. Like, could totally achieve that. And so your 1 billion market cap gets, so.
I mean, let's talk about post-COVID, pre-COVID, post-COVID. Tesla went from what, $40? It was lower than $40. I mean, that thing, that 10x'd in pretty short order, like it more. So to think that Bitcoin could, would it be so crazy if it matched gold's market cap? Like, no, I don't think it's crazy. And do I think that you're going to start seeing these ETF marketers talking about that? Yeah, that's the natural comp. You've heard us, like we talk about it a lot here. What else can you do? The crypto markets tend to get so like frothy, and you have to look at circulating supply and fully diluted supply, all the stuff. It's like the easiest thing to do is to try to make a comp to fully diluted market cap, right? So to do that with gold and Bitcoin is the natural, that's the natural marketing message. And I tend to agree. I don't think it's at all crazy to expect something like that. And then, there is just a scarcity issue, and you have a base of holders here with Bitcoin that they've been through some of the greatest highs and lows, and they have not let their coins go. So You know, you're gonna have to pry it out of their hands, and you also can't really, you cannot just create derivatives out of this and like really hold this thing down with derivatives. Spot is spot, and when you get a supply squeeze, look out. We'll see. I mean,
what's a stock ticker for gold? I don't think you can do it on here. I was trying to do like the show the A with the market cap of B. That'd be fun.
Well, GLD, right? But I don't think it would.
GLD.
I don't think that would have like a market cap that's based on how much gold is out there. Like you should just Google what is the total market valuation of all of spot gold market or something, or of, you know.
Well, yeah, I looked that up the other day. It's like 13.6 trillion. Yeah. So we've already done the math. I just wanted to plug it into this thing you see a lot, which people like to do this comp. I thought it'd be kind of fun, but
GLD might be. Yeah, GLD is a good one. I mean, that's
it's just companies like
GCX. Is that's the future? Is it? No, GCX. Trying to think. Yeah. No, it's not. It's
like if there was a CME contract or something, but then it's not
GC. That's a future, and you'd have to do the front month. It's like GC exclamation point would be like how you do it in Trading View, or how I used to do it.
You could do manually, but the circulating supply is unknown.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
let's just do it. Yeah. Dang it. Oh well. Yeah. Okay, we could do this math. Somebody in the chat, hit us with the math. If the price of gold is 2,055, and I'll just do it. Let's say 136 13 trillion. No, that's billion. Okay. Divided by 2055, that would make the supply this number. Very big number. Okay, so for fun, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. No. Okay. There. 16x.
You got it.
So Bitcoin with the market cap of gold would be a lot. So anyways, I don't see that I don't see there's any way that comp doesn't eventually get made and then get hit.
Yeah.
The flipping.
I agree. Let's just
may not be this year, next year, collapse. It's more of for me, it's a mental 2030, let's just do it this decade. But the guys who decide which things get to become things have grabbed a hold of this thing and said it's going to be a fucking thing. So hold on to your butts.
Yeah, I'm with
you. Trying to scrape 12K out of a 15K dip, like it's a little silly. So
yeah, for sure. What are you looking at? What's
Ample? No,
what's wetting your whistle these days?
Yeah. Well, let's see. Ample suddenly. Solana is my biggest holding. Bitcoin, Ample. So I'd love to give the full breakdown scoop on Ample, but I can't do it. I will just say that they've changed. I can't do it because I haven't fully dove into the docs myself. I've been shilled by he who hath brought me so many winners in the past. One of my partners at the fund. We're very excited about Ample. Brian Armstrong at Coinbase is pretty excited about Ample. That was one of the things that he was excited about.
Really?
He was in a video saying, what are the things you're most excited about? He's like, this idea of a stable coin, algorithmic stable coin. He name dropped Ample. They've got a second token now, spot token. It's a whole new model. It's a 2-token model. And this chart doesn't really matter. First of all, pretty impressive that from November 19th, this thing has managed to, go in and out of positive and negative rebase, but essentially do its job, which is maintain a fairly stable average price of around $1. And there's a second token now, and there's like all these junior and senior tranches and staking. It's a very complex sounding thing, but my buddies dove into it head to toe, and he just says, dude, this thing's going to fucking be a thing. It's going to explode. It's going to do great. And then you start to get into comps because it's all about the market cap with these things. And you can chart wrapped ample, which is essentially like the market cap price. And it's chilling in the reload zone. It had, dipped, I think it was something like $20 million FDV and then ran to like 180 and now it's back to like 50, 60.
Dude,
so I've been
put in that Space Needle there?
Right here? No.
Was that you? Like,
maybe.
I'm getting it.
Maybe, because I will admit I'm not doing it right. I keep buying it on the bounce days because I'm like, oh yeah, ample. Right. But he's got me, in this sort of don't worry about this or that, like, build a position because it's just one of those things. I'm going to pull up the market cap on CoinGecko, like, yeah. So it's 67, so 83 FDV, 83 million. What was Luna? UST, it was like 80 billion or something, 50 billion. Like, it was insane, right? And that, so, without talking about what happened to Luna, it was a much different, less sustainable model. But the idea that these dominant, decentralized stable coins, there's a flavor out there for them and they can get very big. And he thinks Ample's just going to explode. And therefore, I think Ample's probably going to explode because he's the smarter. He's the guy who finds these gems,
I love it. Jake just writes in the chat, is it 2020? That's what I did when I saw it earlier. I was like, wait a second, what the fuck?
I know.
Did I just take a time machine? But hey,
you asked you saw it on my chart. I'm not here to, you didn't see it in the headline for today's show, like come talk about Ample, but this is one thing that is a little under a lot of like every radar, but it's quietly still building, quietly didn't die, quietly works. And apparently the second token they've introduced has completely hardened the model and essentially, ensured its survival and thriving. So it's like, okay, but now what's going to get built on it, right? What's going to get built on it? Who's going to use it? Who gives a shit?
I've got an idea. Build a 19% APY deposit mechanism.
Yeah, they can pull that off. If they pull that off, like that's the kind of thing that if they did try to pull that off, maybe it was even 10%, but like they pull that off, it's already going to be 6 billion market cap by the time they announce it, right? I don't know. I'm planting seeds here. It's a volatile fucker. Like, I'm up, I'm down. My coin tracking is not grabbing the rebases, so I'm actually down more than it looks, and then I'm up more than it looks. Like, it's a bit of a size your bet down sort of thing, so you can sleep at night type thing.
Yeah.
But looking at this, and then just hearing what I'm hearing, tells me I want to pick it up in this reload zone, like before anyone else is telling me about it.
Yeah.
So it might be one of those, you heard it here first, kids. I don't know. Or it might just.
It wouldn't be the first time where you're sniffing. I mean, you got your ear to the grind, so you're on the beat. You got guys.
I know people. Let's put it this way. I know people. Okay, I
got guys doing the research.
Take care of my kids. And, I look in the fun chat. I do these meetings, and I know guys that are literally ear to the ground, sitting there sniffing, and this is the thing that they are smelling right now. That one of them is
bird dog in this shit.
Shout out! You guys might know him on Twitter. You should follow this guy. He does not want a big following, so let's all troll him and give him a follow. But my boy Shill Pill, he's dropping
this guy, dimes.
This guy, maybe not even super active on Twitter. I honestly don't know, but he's one of my co-founders, as you can see here, and he is so smart. So big shout out to my guy. He just digs into this stuff night and day. He's a chemist, literally. So anyways, yeah.
You know what I saw today?
What do you got?
Just before the stream, I went on. I just needed to like take a look at my trading view watch list, see what's moving, and I noticed like Link was moving. I'm like, what's going on with Link? Like, since when is Link up 10%, 12% in the day? Like, what's going on with Chainlink? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, hitting a line that I had. Let's see what that line is. Chaos level is loving it right now.
You're thinking like, okay, Ethereum's kind of like just been a turd doing nothing. And you see like Link putting in some numbers and that looks like it looks hungry.
Looks leggy. Yeah, it
It
looks
looks
next leggy, and look at that. The chaos level coming out of this consolidation actually really aligns nicely with, this $26 next area of interest, which has some weekly candle bodies lingering in its area too. So yeah, I'd say 26 could come very quickly if it does come, because that's like, there's a lot of resistance here where it stopped, obviously, on the chart.
yeah, no,
How
it
thick
is.
you want
And
to make this? You've got candle body lows, candle body highs, candle body highs. We kind of tagged it on that wick, but yeah, we break through that, and there's a pretty sweet.
but you know what I
Yeah.
thought to myself? Because the main thing that I use Chainlink as a comp for is one of my, something that I hold that I love. And I just, we use the tech with Hxro Network. And I just think that they're a leader in the tech of this market data Oracle segment is Pith. So I saw Link, and obviously Pith is down below because there's L first, and then it's alphabetical. So then Pith is lower. I'm like, I bet you Pith is up pretty big today if Chainlink's up 10, 12% today. And I went to Pith, and lo and behold, that was up about 10% today. I think that, like, because of what Pith represents, and because Pith at 45 cents, right? You're talking about a 4.5 billion fully diluted cap. At this point, when you're looking at comps, Chainlink at 17.5 billion fully diluted, and then you look at Pith, I think when you see some of these big moves for Link, I think you're going to see Pith kind of hang in there, because it already, to me, is undervalued relative to Link. So it's something to keep an eye on. Like, if Link decides it wants to break out and run, I think we'll see Pith run too.
Yeah, and Pith has never done anything. In other words, it has yet to have its moment, even for its Gartner hype cycle. It's kind of like, hey, I'm a new coin. I mean, it launched. It was mostly done through airdrop. There's obviously some seed holders, investors, and contributors and otherwise. But yeah, it has not had a moment in the sun. And I think you've talked about it before. You talked about it last time on the stream you were here. It is so easy for it to shine bright. Like, in my mind, it's so easy for it to, like, the story that it tells is very powerful, very simple to grasp, and then the comp is clear as day. It's fucking Link, which looks ready to go. So yeah, I like that. I like that idea.
I mean, we'll see, but it's got a different genetic makeup. Like, Pith is going to have its first, like, of the private sale, right? The first unlock is going to come in May, and we're going to see, like, is it going to be a bullish unlock? Who knows? But I think you're going to see, like, Chainlink. I think Chainlink's about 60% circulating already, but we'll see. So they're all unique in and of itself, but the bottom line is you've got some plain and simple, fully diluted market cap comps that you can make between like coins, and it's just interesting. Yeah. So when you see, like, Chainlink up 10%, like, go to Pith. Is it on this site? Is it up 10% today too? Like, it's just
like, if it's going to track. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting when you
T. It's almost like there's a market maker out there who's arbing it, or some kind of trader who's got a system.
I do not think that's a coincidence. So, it's something to kind of look at. But
I'd rather buy Pith, to be honest. Out of the two, I think, for obvious reasons, like you described, the lower market cap, but it seems like a shinier, newer toy. It's in an ecosystem that's a little hotter. I think both are probably
good.
That's
I think over the next year, I agree with you. I think, like, that's a relative value bet that I would make, in a trade that I would make. I think we'll see how the unlock goes. And I think the one thing about Pith is it took down all that airdrop selling like an absolute stud. And I would imagine it's going to take this first unlock down, like, probably like a stud. I think it'll have its moments, but I think it's it's probably a better bet over the next year and 2 years, because in the end, I think we're going to see convergence of those market caps. But who knows? That's long short trading and crypto stuff is it's not for the faint of heart.
No, like long pith, short link. They both, now going back to FTX, I really liked their margining system. Like that's where this would have worked great, right? Because you have some base margin in there. You're long one, short the other, and the value of those positions gets accounted for. So you almost can't get liquidated unless there was some extremity that was like super weird. So you just give yourself some room. But most exchanges, I don't know, maybe there is some cross margining you could do that on like Bybit, but it's not for the faint of heart. And
well, we're gonna see like
good luck factoring in all your funding over time. Like it's hard one to really calculate your exits, entries, and
I could see that being big, like even on Hxro Network with our market product groups. Like I'd love to be able to do a long short pith link, get some correlation there. I'll tell you what, our liquid staking token MPGs, I think we're going to see some really good action there, because I think it really serves a great purpose. And as Solana gets more popular and more distributed, and Ethereum also, like the liquid staking token, like that whole industry and how much capital is tied up into it, to me, it's only going to grow. And then think about like the ETF for ETH coming. I think we're going to see like, it's going to get interesting. Like there's going to be a need for spot ETH. So there's going to be, people know what they can earn by staking ETH. So I think there's going to be a need for like liquid staking tokens and then derivatives on the liquid staking tokens. So you're going to see some interesting stuff on Hxro coming with the, the liquid staking token perps and derivatives and spreads.
Sol LSTs. Yeah. I've been reading up on that. Yeah. Guac V2 is on the horizon. There's some teasers coming out. There's anticipation in the market. We've got, some volume coming in. It looks like there's some anticipation around that. They're building the Hxro network as well, correct?
I will tell you, those guys at Guac, and I saw like a Guac intern go through some stuff. They really impress me. They really do, and they're building on top of Hxro in a couple of places, and Guac really, they impress me. I think they're clever. I think design oriented, like UX UI. I really am continuously impressed by Guac, and that's all I know. I don't know anything. I haven't looked into the token or any of that stuff, but I can tell you that what they build and their design and their eye for like detail and I was really impressed and blown away. So I wouldn't doubt it. I think they're I'm excited to see what they've got for V2, like for real. So good stuff.
I really like this price action. It's just picturesque thus far. Came into some chaos levels that I had written up before, and just a nice chill reload zone all through here, and now like some interesting developments, and naturally it's catching a bit. Okay, so top of my head, we got Link Pith trade. I think that's an interesting idea. Guac is starting to move. Like other things I'm into, the messy bags, he came on a week or two ago. Was it a week ago? Week ago. It's only been a week.
Oh shit, what's this? That looks
well, that was just a little trend line I threw on there this morning. This is CTSI. Yeah, there's just a handful of bags. I mean, he went into depth on why he likes them. I decided to tail him on a few of them and pick them up. I actually already had CTSI and sold some and bought it back and traded it a little bit. Stargate, I love the story. I think Layer 0 V2 went live Monday. I think that sets them up for this whole Layer 0 token launch, and I have a feeling that one of the better trades of the first half of this year could be like Layer 0 ecosystem, right? With Tapioca DAO coming out in February, which is now this month, and that's built and using Layer 0. Layer 0 now doing their V2, like token just chilling down here, the Stargate one. So I picked some Stargate up down against this level, just thinking if that story gets some traction through first half. They did anticipate that the team finally broke their silence on the Layer 0 airdrop or whatever, the token, and they said it would be kind of like a first half 2024 story.
Yeah.
So I feel like this chart is the kind of thing you see, or it doesn't, like when you see this chart, doesn't mean it's about to go. It means like looking back, this is always where I wish I bought stuff. So I picked some of that up.
That's the thing about these charts and crypto, like some of the stuff that looks the absolute worst, that no one is even paying attention. No one cares. There's nothing going on. All of a sudden you see it just like go, and you're like, God, you know what?
Like
I felt,
here.
I mean,
look at that.
This thing's going to go higher to me too.
I
mean, listen, it's illiquid and you never know, like it can pull back, but I truly believe when it comes to valuation, this is still multiples undervalued. I just do. And they own, I mean, they own 2,500 Bitcoin in their treasury. They have tons of USDC. I don't know. I don't know when, I don't know how, but this one to me is still just, it's mispriced and
spicy price. Nice pump chaser zone kind of thing for anyone who was had the wherewithal to be patient through this, slow grind higher into the start of the focus sale, and then it just came off hard and bounced harder. So, and is this like, from a purely technical perspective, I look at this and I'm like, oh shit, don't be a complacency shoulder, like don't be like that little and then we just head into like the midterm winter. But I've put all my DSO, actually, except for one. I picked up a little more at the PCZ. I have not put that into the focus sale yet, but I guess I should. I don't have any reason to not, because you can always just yank it back out. So I'm deep in the focus sale. That thing's coming out probably June or earlier. I think it's gonna fuck insanely hard. I think it's been designed to have nothing really but buy pressure potential. I mean, they put in a floor price or a floor bid on the token at the price that every token that's going to be in circulation was bought at, or at least initially, right? Somebody could buy it up, I guess. But like this floor price protecting essentially all the reservations versus DSO, I think is such a powerful dynamic. And then you have a year of this insane kind of growth model around like any influencers who come, they get given out DSO token incentives, except for those incentives are all locked. So it's like window dressing, right? They're like, hey, you got 100K sitting in there, but you can't have it for a year. And if you invite your friends, you're going to have more. And like that whole model, I think just getting to proliferate for a year while there's no supply overhang. And then anyone who changes their mind just gets out at the floor bid that they're going to keep in there. It's like, it's hard to not see it just really explode. And then that's eyeballs on DSO, and DSO as an L1 and a storage layer. Like it just gets
well, I'll tell you, one of the best parts about it, like even if you look at Chainlink, we just saw 57% of the supplies circulating, like DSO 98% already. Like that's a big deal. That is extremely supportive. That is like, people don't pay enough attention to that sort of stuff. So
yes, on that note, the POS is going to launch this year. Their proof of stake model, and that is going to lift the cap. So this max supply is misleading. Now, I raised that with the team because I know this has been one of our favorite points of this whole thing. Be like, hey, it's all circulating. This is the max. That max will lift and it will inflate. But if you're staked, you're part of that inflation. So you're actually just going to grow your market share versus, inevitably some fairly decent amount of the supply that won't be staked, whether that's because it's sitting on exchanges or otherwise just being used.
And when does the deflationary mechanism of the staking kick in then? That's the question.
So yes, so it does eventually. The idea is it inflates as it grows with the network to secure the network. POS is kind of the last thing they needed to be live before this focus app goes live. But it also has like an EIP 559, what they describe as like an improved version of EIP 559, 1559, where it's like burning fees and all this stuff. So after a certain amount of usage, it returns to deflationary. But reading through, we should link to the thing, but Nader did a really long piece on this and talked about every little in and out of how they design their POS. It's really cool. And yeah, the idea is like, yes, we will inflate and you can be a part of that by staking, but eventually it'll become like fairly aggressively deflationary with usage.
Does that mean that
usage
DSO is going to move from this focus reservation into staking then?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think on a usage base, they need focus, like they need the POS for focus to work the way they want it. But from a marketing position, I think it's important that they have the POS available for as soon as like that reservation ends, because it's like, well, I got all this DSO so I could reserve my focus tokens. What am I going to do with it now if I decide to sell it and just keep my bonus? Well, here, come on over here for 20% and stake it. So yeah, it's all set up. You know, it's almost like they were heads down for 3 years thinking through all this shit. Like it's really well thought out.
He's impressive to me. Natter.
Is it Natter?
I think it's Natter like ladder. Yeah. I believe. Yeah, but I don't know.
I keep saying Nader, but I know it's wrong because I heard him speaking and he was introduced, but I couldn't quite remember what it was. But yeah,
I'm the king of mispronouncing. But part of me thinks so. I mentioned Space Needle earlier, right? You can see them in crypto charts more than anything else. But the one thing I like to see on stuff on these charts is like when people have zero fucks about price and they just want in, right? Like look at the Space Needles in DSO before and go back. I mean, I remember some of these days. Yeah, it's like you get someone who wants a big piece of this network and they come in and like, I don't give a shit what I'm paying. Like, I just know I want to own like, you know, whatever, 100,000 DSO. And so you see these moves. Like it wouldn't surprise me to see a Space Needle, you know, like we saw before up to $100. Like I just, we've seen it before here. So there's, you see some
now
weird
that's more
shit.
of a Space Needle. The other ones I was pointing out were like,
look at the one before though too. Like, and so this is some of the stuff where I wouldn't rule it out. I really wouldn't. I
do wish they could improve liquidity. I'd love to talk to them about plans to do so. You know, like they've got a sick war chest, they've got crazy backing, they've got the muscle, they've got, you know, a relatively small team. Interestingly, what was it, like under 15 people? Their burn rate's fairly reasonable, but like, what plans do you have? What can we, you know, do to support? Like, how do we get to a place where you can trade $100 million of volume and not have Space Needles? Because
I think it's called Binance.
Get a listing.
And Binance is coming back, by the way, is it not? Like the Binance volume charts have been kind of.
I haven't checked.
That's kind of coming back. Like that's rebounding, but I think like it's having some, you know, some of the Eastern exchanges. I think in Binance they make a big deal.
Well, and then you got to get supply into the right hands, right? Market makers need to have that supply. It needs to be dispersed. And I think what happened here almost certainly was like a consolidation of supply into fewer hands, which is great news for number go up because it's like diamond hands are mostly what's left. But either way, I don't really know the ins and outs of it, but there's like coins out there, you know, they just have $50 million of volume a day. You can move in and out with size. Like, who's working those books? Like, how do we?
Like, I mean, let's talk about it.
Of Dot, you know, like I looked up Polkadot the other day randomly, and I was like, it's like Dot's kind of, you know,
Binance. I mean, that was a 2021 bull market. That thing was,
and they raised in 2017. Similar vibe. Raised a lot of money. Had a ton of hype. Had a lot of time between now and their raise, and had a lot of big backing, and they've just got these exchange listings with, you know, crazy volume all the time, even though nobody's talking about them. So it's like, who's trading this shit? So I'm just curious how we can get. So anyways, I'm going to poke around in their marketing.
So if you look at DSO and you go to CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, and then you see what its daily volume is, and it might say it's 3 million or 4 million. The Huobi volume is all bullshit. There is no, you can't do, you know, pull up an order book for this on Huobi. You can't do shit. It's all fucking wash trade. It's like, it's the dumbest shit ever. Like you go look and you're like, what the hell is going on? That's not real.
Yeah.
So
which makes up half. I mean, that's
how much of
playing 50% of their volume right now.
I mean, how is that trust score
with no depth? Yeah, it's crazy. And the trust
Huobi
scores.
used to be, people used to say like Huobi was like number 2. You could, had real volume. It was great. But like you go take a look and there's nothing there. So how much of the volume you're seeing on DOT when you're seeing $50 million a day, like what's real and what's not?
Yeah, I just pulled that one out of my ass because I looked it up the other day, just thinking of a random kind of blue chip-esque name, but that doesn't have a ton of hype, but has this crazy depth. I mean, look at that depth on Deepcoin.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Polkadot's a top 20 coin, right? Isn't it? Is it still top 20? It's got it.
Let's see. I'm just picking on DOT. It could have been any. Yeah, top 20. It's 14th.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just interesting to me. Like market dynamics are always fascinating. It's actually 176 million. So you could even say if 10% of that is real, it's still mildly impressive given how little you hear about it day in, day out. It's not too exciting, but these are a little more legit where you get Bybit, Kraken, Bing, Binance 27. So like, how do we, here's why I thought of all this, because Nader is talking about, DeSo is going to do to social media what Bitcoin did to finance or is doing to finance. And so he's putting it in that conversation as like, there's this entirely new vertical of what crypto can do for the world, and DeSo is the head of that. Mm-hmm. So and I love that positioning. I think from a marketing position, a narrative position, I think that's powerful. But then all I was thinking is like, oh shit, you ain't getting the top 10 with that volume or that, not that, like with that depth. Yeah. We've got to get the market healthier, thicker. I've talked to 3 or 4 people over the last 6 months about it, and they're like, oh, I can't buy that. Like I can't touch that coin. That coin has no liquidity. So where, but it's not a shit coin. It's not, on the surface, maybe you just look at that depth and you think, oh, there's nobody there. But they've got a ton of backing. So anyways, this is one of the problems that I want to see addressed. It's one of the things that I will work with them to address. Like not like I'm going to fix it, but push that envelope.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But the focus thing, dude, has got me fired up. Let's take a peek at it before we wrap today.
Yeah.
Focus.
Well, that's the question I get every time. Like, and I'm talking to more and more people are reaching out to me. They know I've been in the crypto world for a while, that I actually believe in the stuff. And so the question I get all the time, what is there? What's really going to land outside of just speculation and betting? And what's going to really, what's it going to be used for? And you think about, but the bottom line is when it comes to speculation and like betting and markets, financial markets are one of, that just happens to be one of the most active industries on earth and transactional. So is it a surprise that crypto's used? Like that's where the transaction volume is? No, it's not a surprise. But the question I get all the time, and it could be from venture capital people, could be just normal, is like, where are we going to see actual use cases for like crypto? And, social media is one of the things that like we all use every day for multiple hours a day. Not everybody trades and is in the markets, but like my kids and friends and everyone is on social media. So the idea of owning your own like social graph and social being on chain, that is something that it's easy to point out. And then you think about like what the internet was used for. You think about things like OnlyFans and like internet porn was like one of the biggest use cases. It's like, that's social media. That is like it or not, I do believe that is going to be, it's going to be a real.
They're setting up for it. They're setting up for it in the sense that you can have encrypted file storage. So like, I can't just go click on your profile on the wallet chain app and like look at all the things you've posted. It'll show up as encrypted because I have to pay some amount of focus token, I guess, or maybe some DeSo, and that will give me access to your subscribed content. And that middleman, being DeSo, takes only a very small amount. So instead of something like OnlyFans, I don't know what their rates are, but I'm guessing that the creators are getting mildly screwed. No pun intended. Getting fucked. But
and another YouTube, name that
Twitter,
I'm seeing in my like Twitter feed is like Farcaster, and I haven't messed with Farcaster. I don't know what it is, but
too, actually,
yeah, I'm seeing that pop up, and they released something where there's a frame you could do stuff with, and it's another like social media on chain thing. I don't know if it's a layer 2. I don't know if it's what it is, but
yeah,
we're gonna see it. Like, people are using social. It's not going to be a winner take all type of thing. I think we're going to see value come to that space, and that's, you know, going to be a real use case. The other thing outside of like decentralized social is the hype around real world assets, right? Like RWA, and what the hell does that even mean? Like real world assets, like, but I think that there is a lot of interest, and when you do hear, I see you in the chat about Larry Fink with RL Tibble, the tokenization of everything. You know, that was a powerful statement he made. Larry Fink moved from calling it, you know, just Bitcoin to talking about crypto and talking about the tokenization of everything. So I do think that the more stuff where you can kind of talk to the doubters and the naysayers about, oh, it's just speculation, it's just, you know, gambling and whatever. I think that we're gonna see more use cases, and it's not just speculation, even though the biggest casino on earth is financial markets. So, you know, it's not like it's just new to crypto. It's not.
No, I love that. I love when they talk about it like that. Like, oh, you just gambling on number go up. You know, it only goes up because more people are coming to buy after you. It's like, bro, that is your model. We did not reinvent that. It is not, you know, like that is not some new thing. But thanks for coming out, Nancy Pelosi, with your $200 million stock trading net worth. Anyways, moving on. I got to run. We've got Alexei Altshuler in the chat asking about the best liquid staking protocol. He's saying he's been using Jitos or anything hotter. I don't think so. Jito's the one that I keep hearing about. Marinade is another
Jito's
option.
a little different, isn't it? Yeah, Marinade, MSOL. I'll tell you, I've been watching, and soon you'll be able to trade this stuff. I think PepperDex is going to have some spreads coming soon. Like, you'll be able to trade marinated Sol Perp against Jito Sol Perp. We're gonna have to do a little educational tour on spread trading and looking at these things, because there's some interesting relationships between Sol and MSOL and Jito Sol. And when you start looking at these liquid staking tokens compared to the spot, it really gets me interested. And there's some
I'm brushing up on my PepperDex knowledge. There was a thread contest recently, so I've been reading through all that, waiting for that closed beta that they are teasing at, so I can get in there and use it, because that's really going to be the first, you know, UI front end that we can touch to tap into dexterity. So I'm excited for that.
I am absolutely excited about it. And you know what? It's February 1st. So we kind of got through like this January, New Year. You get like, you know, and now we're into Feb, and I think we're it's going to start getting fun as we get to spring and get to summer. I'm expecting a pretty good summer. I really am.
I mean, if you go by the January barometer, which we talked about on the show before, this idea of like those first 2 weeks of January giving you a sense of what's to come for the year. Let's just touch on that very quickly here as we wrap. The Jan barometer, what does it say? I don't know why that shrunk. I liked it the way it was. Trading view. Jan barometer was here. So yeah, I mean, we opened up on a fat green day. So some people think the January barometer is just your first 5 minutes of trading, your first hour of trading, your first day of trading. All of those were good. And then I like to think of it in the first 2 weeks, and like almost to the day. I guess if you went the full 2 weeks, we were back at the spot, but it was a good start to the year. And typically that means it's going to be a good year. At least that's some mythical shit that I've made up in my head that I believe. So I am optimistic for this year. And you know, look at this. I mean, look at the monthlies on the equities. It just seems like a strange place to be bearish. That's all I'm going to say.
You know, it always confuses me. I could go both ways. It's better to get less bullish after you've made a fucking crazy run than getting, you know, bearish at the dead ass low. But I do think it's very difficult to start getting bearish on a rally that looks like it could just start accelerating. You know, it's not
Well,
easy
it
to
has
start.
been accelerating for
Yeah,
20 years. Like this
yeah,
has been accelerating for 20 years. Parabolic moves tend to just,
yeah.
accelerate, and this is starting its
But
next
where
level.
was the best sale of this last stretch? It was when it looked like it was about to literally go to the fucking moon. You know, it looked like it was going exponential, and then boom, the bottom falls out, and anyone who was levered got carried out on a stretcher.
You
So
mean like through 2022?
yeah, I mean that was you
The
know,
bear.
but
Yeah.
it looked as bullish as ever at right when it turned, right? I mean, you're like,
Yeah.
it was blue sky. It was like there's no looking back. And
But
then
it's almost better now, though, right? Like I always feel way more comfortable after a big correction. That's the trader in me has become like,
yeah,
you see those big leverage flushes. Now, usually, if you're really into trading leverage, you get caught in those almost every time. It's hard to spot them coming. You know it's coming, but you don't quite know when. But as someone who's not often trading leverage, I'll usually step into trade leverage right after those mega flushes because like it's the
yeah,
safest time to do it because you're like, wow, the books are fucking clear now. Funding rates
yeah,
are reset, and it's the time when the least amount of people want to do it. So I prefer to get in after weird corrections. In this, I
yeah.
mean, I'm not trading stocks, but if I was, and I'm holding some. I've got some coin and got some Riot, some Mara. They got smoked in January, so I'm looking to buy
Yeah,
some of
they
those
really got
back.
smoked. Shit.
Yeah, like they were the sell the news. The sell the news hit the stock sector, crypto stocks the hardest. I mean,
Should we be
Jan.
looking at these things? This shit
Yeah,
looks
yeah. This is
like
not right.
these
Chart.
stocks relative. Maybe the play is to buy these stocks against the SPX index and like do a long shorting like this and
Yeah,
the
I mean,
miners against.
look at Coinbase. I mean, fat weekly W's. Really nice breakout into the event. Really started to close out just Jan 1st. They didn't care about the ETF. They were just waiting to take these gains probably for like a Jan 1st rollover. And we got a month of straight down, and I think it's going to just chill here. This thing has been very PCZ friendly since the lows. I mean, the last consolidation was living in here too. So I imagine this one will live through this, and then we'll just see some next highs. I mean, I've got a big position in this. It's now a free position. I sold it at like, sold half on a double at 156, and now I'm looking to get that next fill. I don't imagine I'll get like a full reload zone. If I do, I'll add, but I'd like to pick it up in the low.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you pulled these up, dude. This to me looks even sexier than buying Bitcoin and selling SPX or Nasdaq. Like, I think these crypto stocks, like Coinbase, and then the Marathon Riot, the miners.
Yeah, MicroStrategies. The guys who hate on the miners, they know a little more than me. They talk about how they're going through bankruptcies every cycle, this and that. But I look at it and I'm like a price guy. I'm like, I don't really care if that thing got bankrupt. Like it went up 100x. Like, can it do it again? Probably. The least amount of financial advice ever given to the least degree is when I talk about stocks, because I don't look at fundamentals in these companies. But if Bitcoin moons, these guys all have Bitcoin on their balance sheets. You can look that up. I don't know the exact numbers, but some of them have 12,000, some of them have 3,600. Like they're all holding a lot of Bitcoin. I think MicroStrategies here into this PCZ, like SR Flip. I don't own any of this one. This is one that I've been meaning to wait to buy on this dip. This is a harsh candle though. So I think we're going to chill here for a little bit, similar to how we did last summer. So I'm not in a huge rush today.
Someone brought up, we got to look into this or talk about it. Someone brought up a strategy that MicroStrategy is doing where they're issuing more stock and buying Bitcoin with it. And it's like that there's something about how it's affecting the dilution. No, that it's very, very positive. That they're using. Yeah.
Because if they go bankrupt, like imagine they set themselves up in a way where they're leveraged Bitcoin and then somehow they get fucked.
No, they would be leveraged. They're literally issuing more shares because it was trading at whatever 30 times multiple, and like so they were issuing shares, selling more shares, using that cash to buy coin. It's not like they're borrowing, but it seemed very, very favorable to me. It's something to look into now that I'm seeing this pullback here. I think I'm glad you pulled these up. I think these are something.
Well, let me know what you find. I think you're going to dig in. So definitely keep me posted, and I can bring it back to the stream next week if you can't make it. But I'll let everyone know what you think, because all of these, I mean, it's the same thing. They're fairly, now this is a long list of crypto stocks. I don't know how. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that about Hut. This is one that I sold. It was severely underperforming. This was basically it sitting still for that time. I had a small bag, so I sold it. It pumped. I thought, ha ha ha, but now it's underwater. So
yeah, but guess what? That's the type of thing that like all of a sudden it's gonna fucking 10x, and you're gonna be like, it looked like dog shit, and now look, it just 10x'd and made up everything. This
is a long list I got off somebody on Twitter, so do not take any of these as ideas, but there's a pretty long list, and then these are all the ETFs, I think. Yeah. I just had them up here. I was like, they're all basically just going to mirror each other. Yeah, so it's interesting. I think WAGMI is about as low on this list as I'm going to go for thinking about crypto stocks. I've got coin down to WAGMI. Not too interested in that one, but I do want a little more clean spark. At MicroStrategies, I got to get a position. Mara and Riot, I got free positions I'd like to add back, and then coin, same thing. But these, this is how I'm playing it through like the more, 401k IRA, whatever you call that shit in Canada, RRSP. Like, this is how I'm playing the stock market right now, just more crypto, because I think that's going to be the story of the next few years, and I want it to express that in my shit.
Coach, Vic brings up a good point. The fee situation has changed.
Oh, yeah, true. Miners are speaking from ordinals.
There's definitely been a shift here, and we'll see if it's sustainable, if it's a real shift, if it's a head fake or what. But it's a big change.
You know what happened last week that was very exciting? I got my first DM from a random offering to buy my ordinal from one of my collections. I got a handful of sub 10Ks. I was all in on it like the first week they were a thing, and then I just totally left it alone, left them stashed, and I'm just hoping they turn into punk someday. But somebody DM'd me and asked, can I buy ordinal? So that's like a new thing that's just starting. I'm not touching them.
Did he show you a bid? What did he say? At least
a couple years. No, but there's floor bids. There's floor bids on thing. The floor bids are climbing. They were 0.07 Bitcoin for a while. 0.16. I think last week I looked, they were 0.32. I mean, I'm not letting go of any of them for less than a Bitcoin, but I think someday that whole sub 10K, just because inscriptions is so, ordinal heavy, and it's, I'm hoping that's the way it evolves. It could evolve in the sense that everything sub 10K was trash. Nobody cares about it. But I think there's going to be some value in that sort of early block space, that early inscription. So I'm not selling them. I'm fucking selling. I just wrote them off mentally.
Well, I'm rooting for you, bud.
We'll see what they look like in a few years. The UI UX will probably be a little improved or dead.
Yeah, you're one of the special ones, buddy. You're one of the good guys. I love seeing your face on these streams and hearing your thoughts. You've really got your finger on the pulse of this shit. So.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying. But it's always nice to have you back in because you actually know what you're talking about, which is really refreshing on this show. So thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, dude, it's been a pleasure. We'll do it again very soon.
Yeah. Thanks for coming by to watch the stream, guys. Don't forget to like, sub, and subscribe to all the good stuff that we're offering here at Hxro Labs. And until next
time, if you got any ideas, or you want to see some stuff, or you want, I don't know, shoot us.
Hit us up. Yeah, hit us up in the pit. We're in there, taggable. So
we out here.
Whatever you do, always play from a position of strength. Take care.